Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple questions that are a little bit different from each, but real quick, I was looking at the executive offices, and I know that's not you, but there is a transfer for census outreach. And I know our libraries, which is you in the line item, with level funding, but a lot of people are directing people to go to the libraries to get information on the census. Will any of this outreach line item go to the libraries in order to cover some of those costs?
So not a specific line item for libraries, but I can share with you that our advocates who, in our library space are very aggressive in trying to receive some share or at least a coverage of some of that, but not as a specific line item.
Okay. My second question deals with basic education and taking a look and working with my school districts, and they're trying to be fiscal. Overseeing their fiscal health. Budget reserves are a big issue. Do you have the numbers as to each of the school districts and what their budget reserves are and what that total number may be statewide?
We do track that. I don't have it in my budget book, but
Okay.
I can forward it on.
I would appreciate it. We're just trying to connect the numbers and what we have and where the dollars are going. And my last question actually deals with charters and deals with, and again, working with West Shore School District, and they were able, kind enough to get me some numbers as to what it is. And anytime I talk to either my superintendents or the school boards or the teachers, that is a big issue for them. One of the issues that came up is taking a look at the regular ed versus special ed and taking a look at two of the numbers. And in two particular years I thought was stark was the issue that for the regular ed, the cost went down by over $500,000, but the cost for special ed went up $500,000, and we only had a difference of 9 students. And so my question comes back around to the fact of, do we have the numbers as to the perception is that they go to charter and then they get an IEP plan? Do you have numbers as to how many children go in without an IEP and then get switched over to an IEP plan of some sort?
We don't have those numbers because much of that accounting is done at the local school level. However, I can share with you the reasoning, and that's part of what we shared earlier, although I didn't get into the detail. Much of that reasoning is because there is no formula associated. Their total number is always based on a denominator of 17%, which is what we pay at the state level is our average. Not what we pay. So as the numerator grows, the denominator never changes, and that's what brings up those costs. So,
okay, and I remember you talking about that. I apologize, because the ability for us to take a look, and one of the biggest frustrations that I have with working with the school districts is we want to support our public schools. We also want to support options because all children do educate at in different ways. But I also want to have a level playing field, not only for our taxpayers, but for our school districts. And so that a lot of times putting numbers around that, I think, is very difficult. And when perceptions are out there that it's an automatic money grab, and we want to dissuade that we were tracking the dollars dollar for dollar and making sure that the students are getting the services that they need with options. Is there the ability to take a look at I know with West Shore, and I have mechanics working in West Shore, the numbers seem to go up higher and higher. What is the ability for us to say that we need to have the ability to track those dollars better? Is there something that we need to do better with accountability of the dollars that are going? Because some of the ideas behind cyber, and I agree with Representative earlier that was talking about the need to make sure that we have reform. We didn't have cyber school when it first was put into place, and we want to be supportive of both types of learning, but what type of reforms would you support at this point in time in order to make it more of a balance?
It's a great conversation to have, and and what I recommended to the governor and some of what he used in terms of this proposal addresses some of those. So a static fee for cyber, using a differentiated cost for the different levels of special education. But what I do think would be a great opportunity, because you're interested in, and obviously you have a good command of your local expenditures. If you ever wanted to sit with us and half hour, 45 minutes, we can come over and just look at the real specific numbers, and then how we could be impacted up or down from that average, because that's kind of where that's the detail that's really telling around what we're trying to address, and it's again showing this is not an indictment on charter schools. It's definitely being respectful of the opportunities that charter schools bring, nor is it an indictment on cyber, nor is it, siding fully with traditional schools. It's just us trying to come up with a fix for a law that was created for all the right reasons. It's just 20 years old, and conditions change. And so I think one of the things that we can do is just go through, West Shore and your districts and say, here's the little thing that happened that kind of, pushed this cost up, and here's what a potential fix could be.
And I would appreciate having that conversation because it's one of the biggest conversations that I do have with the supers, as well as anytime there's a PTA or PTO meeting. I get a lot of emails the next day when they see the numbers. So I appreciate that conversation. Thank you.